A photographer is wondering whether an advertising agency can sell their photography without their permission. A man named McDonald's is now thinking, why can't he open a restaurant named McDonald's and sell burgers? And a person who invented something which is very beneficial is worried whether the manufacturers would just strip him away of his rights and not give him any money and sell what he made. Welcome to the world of intellectual property, where issues like this are dealt. Intellectual property aims to protect the people who create certain tangible products out of their ideas. An artist writes a book. An inventor invents something. An entrepreneur creates a brand or a trademark. These are tangible forms of their ideas, and intellectual property aims on protecting them. Let me give you a formalized definition of intellectual property. I'll give you two. One of them is from an academic paper, which I will add the source to in the description. And the first definition goes like this. The term intellectual property refers to a loose cluster of legal doctrines that regulate the use of different sorts of ideas and insignia. IP rights are absolute rights which are not given upon the discretion of the court. You have the right to what you invent. You have the right to distribute it. You have the right to recreate it. You own what you create. I made this video and that is mine. I get to decide how it's distributed. If someone else copies it, I get to question the trespasser and bring the trespasser to the court. IP rights do not necessarily just give you a magical protection, but they will give you a way to enforce those rights and go to the court if someone infringes on them, because your rights, your IP rights, are absolute. Guys, I'd like to apologize for the background noise. There's a lot of construction going on here, and I will buy a mic if this channel does well, and if I get views, I will be buying a mic. So please like, subscribe, spread the news if you want me to buy a mic. Just kidding. All right. Now, I mentioned the first definition. I'll mention the second definition, which is given by the WIPO Convention 1967, which is the convention establishing world intellectual property rights, right? So it defines intellectual property as this. Intellectual property shall include the rights relating to literary, artistic, and scientific works, performances of performing artists, phanograms and broadcasts, inventions in all fields of human endeavor, scientific discoveries, industrial design, trademarks, service marks, and commercial names, and designations, protection against unfair competition, and all other forms resulting from intellectual activity in industrial, scientific, literary, or artistic fields. So this gives you a broad idea of the various types of areas that intellectual property rights protects us. It protects literary work, it protects artistic work, scientific inventions, phanograms, anything that you do to create something and you're using your mind will be protected by intellectual property rights. So there are various types of intellectual property. A certain intellectual property would be protected by a certain intellectual property field or area. For example, there are 4 or 5 most prominent areas of intellectual property. The first is copyright law. The second is patent law. The third is trademark law. Fourth is trade secret law. And fifth is the right to publicity, which is also has been, some scholars include it as intellectual property, and some just focus on the first 4. What is copyright? Let me give you an example. I write a book, I write a poem, I create a play, I write a computer program. The code would be under the protection of copyright. Copyright protects various forms of original expression. The only thing that's required to be protected by copyright is originality. If you express an idea in an original form, it will be protected. I'll go more in depth in copyright. We have a lot to discuss. Patent law protects inventions and some kinds of discoveries. AstraZeneca invented a COVID vaccine. Pfizer invented a COVID vaccine. Moderna invented a COVID vaccine. They're all protected by patent law. I go invent something, that invention is protected by patent law. Trademark law protects symbols that identify something, that have certain meaning, that identify with some consumer goods, or any sort of image of a firm, or anything that denotes something and has certain amount of meaning to it. For example, the Nike logo, the tick mark, right? That is a trademark of Nike. Any logo is a trademark of that company, because I can't just create something, some another company, and use that a trademark of Nike. The trademark of Nike is one of the most valuable assets that Nike owns. Trade secret law protects commercially valuable information. The formula of Coca-Cola, the formula of KFC, Cornell's recipe. And companies try to conceal this from their competitors. And this is also intellectual property, because you are using your mind to create certain ideas. And of course, lastly is the right to publicity, which protects the rights and interests of celebrities with their image and identities, etc. So this was a brief understanding of intellectual property rights, what it is, what it does, few institutional definitions, and the types of intellectual property. We will now talk about the history of IP, justifications of IP, criticisms of IP, and what else will we talk about? Yes, and international treaties related to IP, and a few principles related to that. And then we will be moving to the in-depth understanding of every IP, which is we'll have a lot of videos in copyright, we'll have a lot of videos in trademark, we'll have a lot of videos in patent law, as well as other forms of IP. Looking forward to discussing them with you. I'm also learning IP, and this is just an experiment in which I just upload whatever I understand. So please do forgive me if I make any conceptual mistakes. I would be happily I would like to discuss them with you. And yeah, so this is just something that I'm doing. I'm studying IP myself, and yeah, I will see you around.